My name is Daniela. I am 26 years old. I live in Guadalajara, Mexico. 6 months ago, I could not speak English. Not even one full sentence. Not even, "How are you?" Without thinking too much. I felt lost. I felt small. I hated English because I was scared of it. But today, I can speak to you in English, and I want to tell you how I did it. This is not a story about magic. I did not move to the United States. I did not pay for expensive classes. I learned English from my small room, with my phone, with my voice, and with my heart. Let me tell you what happened. For many years, I worked in a bakery. I made cakes and sweet bread. The job was fine, but I had a dream. I wanted to work for an international company. I wanted to do customer service or tech help online. I liked computers. I liked people. I liked solving problems. And I knew that job needed English. One day, I saw a job post on Facebook. Remote job. English required. Good pay. Work from home. I felt my heart jump. I sent my CV. They wrote back. I was so happy. They said, "Your resume looks good. Can we do an interview on Zoom?" I said yes. But inside, I was scared. I remember that interview like it was yesterday. I put on my best blouse. I sat in front of my old laptop. My hands were cold. My heart was beating fast. Then they joined the Zoom call. 2 women and 1 man. All spoke perfect English. They smiled and said, "Hi, Daniela. Can you tell us about yourself?" And that was the moment I broke. I had the answer in my head, but the words did not come. I said, I am bakery, working, good customer, very yes." I could see their faces. They smiled, but it was the smile of pity, not the smile of hope. They asked me 2 more questions. I did not understand them. I only heard fast words. Too fast. My face was hot. I wanted to disappear. At the end, they said, "Thank you for your time." And I said, "Thank you." But I knew the truth. I failed. Not because I was not smart, not because I did not try, but because I did not speak English. After the call, I closed my laptop. I went to the bathroom. I cried. I cried so hard. My mother heard me. She came and hugged me. I said, "I want a better life, but English is a wall." She looked at me and said, "Then break that wall, mija." That night, I made a promise. I would learn English, and I would do it fast. No more waiting. No more fear. I knew I didn't want boring grammar books. I tried that before. I took an online class the year before. They gave me long lists of words. They made me memorize grammar rules. But when I tried to speak, I could not say anything. So I said, "This time, I will do it my way." The next morning, I started my plan, my own plan. I called it Daniela's English Every Day. I did not wait for a teacher. I did not wait for a perfect moment. I started with my voice. The first thing I did was this. I made a list of 50 sentences I needed every day. Simple things like, "Hi, how are you? Can you repeat that? I don't understand. I need help." And, "I like coffee." I wrote the sentences on paper. I said them out loud. Not once. Not twice. 10 times, every morning I sat on my bed and said all 50 sentences. At first I felt silly. My tongue moved slow. My brain said, "Why are we doing this?" But I did not stop. After 5 days, something happened. The words came faster. The sentences felt natural. I started saying them without thinking. Then I started talking to myself. Yes, really. I talked to myself in English every day. In the shower, I said, "I am taking a shower. The water is hot. It feels nice." While I cooked, I said, "I am making rice. I like rice. It is soft." My mother laughed at first. She said, "Are you okay?" I smiled and said, "Yes, I am just learning." That became my new rule. Every time I was alone, I had to speak English. Then I added a new step. I watched short clips on YouTube from shows, movies, or interviews. I picked 5 simple sentences every day. I listened to the speaker. I paused the video. Then I copied the sentence. Same speed, same emotion, same voice. One day I watched a scene from a movie. A girl said, "I'm not sure what to do." I paused and said it again and again. "I'm not sure what to do." I said it 10 times. I looked in the mirror and watched my face. I matched my lips. I matched my eyes. I became that voice. After 15 days, I noticed something. I no longer translated in my head. I no longer said the Spanish word first. I just said the English. My thoughts were changing. My brain was switching. I was not fluent yet, but I was not afraid anymore. I felt proud. I felt strong. And for the first time in my life, I believed that I could do it. But this was only the start. Before I share the rest of my story, I need to know, where are you listening from? Knowing someone hears me, understands me, gives me strength. After 15 days, I was not the same person. My voice was not perfect, but it was no longer weak. When I looked in the mirror and spoke in English, I no longer saw a scared girl. I saw a woman who wanted more. I still could not have a long conversation, but I could say things. I could express myself. That gave me hope. And hope gave me more energy. Now, I wanted more. I wanted to speak with real people. I wanted to answer questions. I wanted to talk about my day, but every time someone asked me a question in English, I still felt slow. I understood the words, but I could not answer quickly. It was like my brain was stuck in traffic. I needed to train it to move faster. So I started a new routine. I called it my question and answer time. I sat alone in my room every morning. I looked out the window, took a deep breath, and asked myself one simple question in English. For example, I said, "What did you do today?" Then I answered, "I worked." That was too short. I knew I had to say more, so I continued. "I worked at the bakery. I made 3 chocolate cakes. Then I cleaned the table. Then I drank coffee." I kept speaking. I tried to make the sentence longer each time. Some days, I said the same answer 5 different ways. I worked today. I worked this morning. I worked and then I rested. I worked and drank coffee after. I was not just learning words. I was training my brain to speak. The words started coming faster. I no longer stopped to think in Spanish first. I just said what I felt. I did this every day. In the morning before work, night before bed, even in the kitchen when I waited for the rice to boil. I asked questions like, "What did you eat today?" Or "What do you want to do tomorrow?" I answered with full emotion, like I was talking to someone real. And slowly, it started to work. Still, my pronunciation was not great. I knew people could understand me, but I sounded like a robot. My voice was flat. My R sounds were too hard. My TH sounds were missing. I felt shy when I heard myself. So I found a new way to fix it. I discovered something called echo speaking. It changed everything. Every evening, I watched a video in English. Sometimes it was a short movie. Sometimes it was a podcast with subtitles. I listened to one sentence. I paused the video. I repeated the sentence out loud. I copied the speaker's voice, rhythm, and tone. If the actor spoke fast, I tried to speak fast. If the speaker was happy, I tried to sound happy too. One night I listened to a podcast where a man said, "It was a beautiful day, so I went for a walk." I paused it. Then I said, "It was a beautiful day, so I went for a walk." I didn't just say the words. I copied his speed and voice. I did it 10 times. At first it felt silly, but after a few days, I started to hear the difference. I started to sound more natural. Some days, I practiced like that for 1 full hour. It was not easy. Sometimes my throat felt tired. Sometimes I made mistakes. But I did not stop. I told myself, one day, this voice will be mine. And slowly, it became true. I also wanted to learn more words, but I knew one thing now. Memorizing word lists did not work for me. I had tried that before. I wrote down 20 new words, but I forgot them the next day. So this time, I used a new method. I called it story words. Each day, I picked 5 new English words. I found them from movies, podcasts, or songs. Then, I made a short story with all 5 words. I made sure it was simple. For example, if my new words were excited, bus, teacher, arrive, and surprise, I wrote something like this. I was excited because today was my first day of English class. I waited for the bus, and I saw my new teacher standing near the stop. When I arrived at school, there was a big surprise. They gave me a free English book. Then I read the story out loud. Not once, but 10 times. I also tried to use the new words in my own sentences during the day. When I saw my friend, I said, "I am excited to see you." When I saw the bus, I said, "That's my bus." These little things help the words stay in my head. After 1 month, I had learned over 100 new words. But more than that, I knew how to use them. The best part? I started thinking in English. Before, every time I wanted to say something, I thought in Spanish first. Then I translated. Then I spoke. That made me slow. That made me nervous. But now, I was starting to think in English first. One day, I walked outside and looked at the sky. I didn't say, "El cielo está azul." I said, "The sky is blue." When I made coffee, I didn't think in Spanish first. I said in my head, "I'm making coffee. I love coffee. It smells so good." I was living in English, and that changed everything. Still, I had no one to speak with. I was too shy to talk to strangers. I was scared of saying the wrong thing, but I knew I had to try. So I made a rule. I must speak English for 2 hours every day. No excuses. Some days I spoke to myself. I talked about my day. I told stories to my cat. I practiced fake conversations while washing dishes. Other days, I tried to speak to people. I asked questions at the store like, "How much is this?" or "Can I pay by card?" Sometimes people looked confused, but other times they smiled and answered me. That gave me courage. One day, I found an online English group. It was on WhatsApp. People from different countries sent voice messages and practiced speaking. I was scared, but I joined. I listened to them. They made mistakes too. I sent my first voice message. "Hello, my name is Daniela. I am from Mexico. I am learning English." My hands were shaking, but the replies were kind. One girl from Egypt said, "Welcome, Daniela." A boy from India said, "Nice to meet you." I smiled. I felt brave. I started sending one voice message every day. I made friends. I laughed. I learned. After 3 months, I spoke without fear. My sentences were longer. My voice was stronger. I understood movies better. I could have short conversations with real people. English was not a wall anymore. It was a bridge. Then one day, I got a message. It was from the same company that rejected me before. They were hiring again. They asked if I was still interested. I looked at the message. I looked at my phone. My hands did not shake this time. I said yes. The day I got that message, I was sitting on my bed with my phone in my hand. The same company that once said no to me. Now they were writing again. I read the message twice. They asked if I was still interested in the job. I felt a deep breath leave my chest, but this time I didn't feel small. I didn't feel scared. I felt ready. I replied yes. We planned the interview for the next Monday. I had 5 days to prepare, but I didn't panic. I knew what to do. I didn't open a grammar book. I didn't memorize rules. I just kept doing what helped me before. Every day I practiced questions and answers. I stood in front of my mirror and spoke about my work, my dreams, and my skills. I listened to native speakers online. I copied their voices. I read my short stories out loud. I even recorded my voice and listened to how I sounded. The night before the interview, I didn't sleep much. My body was tired, but my mind was full of English. I looked out the window and whispered, "I can do this." I believed it. That was new. Before, I always waited to feel ready. Now, I understood. Sometimes we are ready before we even know it. The next morning, I put on a clean shirt and brushed my hair. I sat in the same place, in front of the same old laptop. But I was not the same woman. I joined the Zoom call. I smiled. They smiled back. The woman said, "Hi, Daniela. How are you today?" And I answered right away, "I'm feeling good, thank you. I've been preparing for this. I'm excited to be here." The interview continued. They asked questions about my work experience, my skills, my goals. And I spoke. I did not freeze. I did not translate in my head. The words came. Not perfect, but clear, strong, real. At one moment, I even made a small joke. They laughed. I laughed too. I felt something inside me grow warm. When the call ended, I didn't know if I got the job, but I knew something else. I gave them the real me, the version of me that worked every day, the one who did not give up, the one who learned English in 6 months not with money, but with heart. 3 days later, I got the call. It was the same woman from the interview. She said, "Daniela, we are happy to tell you, you got the job." I didn't speak right away. My throat closed. My eyes filled with tears. I just whispered, "Thank you. Thank you so much." She laughed softly and said, "You really impressed us." After the call, I sat on my floor. My hands covered my face. I cried. But this time, the tears were not from pain. They were from pride. I remembered that girl who cried in the bathroom after the first interview. I wanted to hug her. I wanted to tell her, "You did it. You really did it." The next morning, I made 2 gifts, one for my mother, one for my father. For Mama, I bought a silver necklace from the market. She always gave me her time, her energy, her love. She listened to my bad English every day and never made fun of me. For Papa, I bought a watch. He never asked me to get a better job. He always said, "Mija, we're proud of you already." I gave them the gifts and said, "I got the job." My mother cried. My father just smiled and said, I knew you would. My first day at work was full of emotion. It was online. The team spoke in English. I joined meetings, wrote emails, answered questions. The first week was hard. I still made mistakes. I still asked people to repeat sometimes. But no one was rude. They helped me. They waited for me. They said, "Your English is good." And each time they said that, my voice grew stronger. Now, I work from home. I help customers in English. I write reports. I talk to people from the U, Canada, India, and more. I make more money than before. I bought a new chair for my mother. I fixed the sink in our kitchen. Small things. But they meant a lot to me. Sometimes I still speak to myself in English. I still practice. I still learn new words. But now I do it with joy, not with fear. One evening, I went for a walk near my house. I passed the bakery where I used to work. The smell of bread came out from the windows. A young girl stood at the counter. She looked tired, but kind. She reminded me of myself. I wanted to go in and tell her something. I wanted to say, "Don't stop dreaming. You can do more. Even if you don't speak English now, you can learn." But I didn't go in. I just smiled and whispered it in my heart. Now, when I think about my journey, I understand something big. Learning English was not only about language. It was about belief. Belief in myself. Belief that I could grow, even when it felt hard. English gave me a new life. But my courage gave me the key. So if you are listening to this and you feel small, if you feel like English is too hard, if you feel like you will never speak like others do, I want to tell you something. I started with nothing. I was scared. I failed. But I did not give up. You can do the same. Speak every day. Listen every day. Think in English. Talk to yourself. Make mistakes. Learn from them. Keep going. English is not just for smart people. It's for brave people. And you. You are brave. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and share. More emotional and inspiring stories are coming soon. It started on a rainy evening. I ran across the wet street, books in hand, trying not to slip. The wind blew hard. My coat flew open. When I reached the door of our small apartment, I saw the lights were off. That was strange. My sister Rena always came home before me. She liked the house clean, warm, and full of light. I stepped inside. It was quiet. Then I saw her in the kitchen. She was standing still. Her eyes looked red. I asked, "Rena, are you okay?" She smiled and said, "Yes, just tired." But I knew something was wrong. That was the moment my heart felt a small crack. I didn't know that soon everything would break. My name is Dina. I'm 20 years old. I live in a busy city and study at university. My sister Rena raised me. Our parents died in a car crash when I was 10. Since that day, she became everything. My mother, my friend, my family. She worked hard, finished school, got a job, and gave me a home. I love her deeply. I trust her with all my heart. Rena is a smart woman. She teaches history at the same university I go to. Her voice is strong when she speaks in class, but soft when she talks to me. She always makes sure I eat well, sleep enough, and study hard. To others, she is a professor. To me, she is my whole world. 2 years ago, she married Joel. He is also a professor. He teaches psychology. People like him. He smiles all the time and speaks in a soft, slow way. He never shouts, never seems angry. Many students say, he is so kind. I believed it too. At first, Joel and Rena met at work. They fell in love fast and had a big wedding. Rena looked happy. I felt happy for her. But one day, something small changed. I saw how Joel looked at me. His eyes stayed too long. His smile was strange. I thought, maybe I am wrong. But the look came again and again. Every time he came over, I felt tense. I tried not to be alone with him. I told myself, Dina, it's nothing. He's just being nice. But my body didn't believe that. My heart beat fast whenever he came near. One afternoon, I sat in my room with my books. My phone buzzed. It was a message from Joel. He wrote, "You look beautiful today." My hands froze. I read it again. "I can't stop thinking about you." My chest felt tight. I stared at the screen. I didn't reply. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe he meant to send it to Rena. But then more messages came. "Let's have dinner. Just us. I know you feel the same." I wanted to scream. I wanted to cry. I turned off my phone and sat still. The next day, he waited outside my classroom. I walked out, and there he was. "You are special, Dina," he said. His voice was soft, but his eyes made me cold. I walked past him fast. I didn't answer. I told myself, ignore him. Stay away. But it got worse. He started sending flowers. He left notes on my car. He followed me on campus. "You are young. You are beautiful," he said once, standing too close. "I don't want a moment. I want forever with you." I felt sick. My hands shook. I ran to the bathroom and cried. Not just because I was scared, but because I loved my sister. Rena gave me everything. I could not hurt her. I could not break her world. For weeks, I kept it inside. I smiled at Rena. I helped her cook. I studied, but my heart was heavy. I felt like a bird in a cage. Every day I looked over my shoulder. I avoided Joel. I stayed in the library late. I skipped family dinners. I was trying to protect Rena. I didn't want her to see this pain. I thought maybe he would stop, but I was wrong. One night, I was reading in my room. The house was quiet. Rena had gone to visit a friend. I heard a knock at the door. I thought maybe it was her. I opened it and froze. It was Joel. He stood there smiling. His eyes scanned me. "I came to see you," he said. "To love you." I stepped back. "Why are you here?" I asked. My voice shook. He stepped inside. "Because I can't stay away," he said. "You are the one I want." I said, "Please leave." He took a step closer and tried to touch my hand. I shouted, "Get out!" He stopped. His face changed. Okay, he said. "I'm leaving." He walked out, and I slammed the door. I locked it and sat on the floor, crying. My heart beat loud. I felt like the world was crashing. I knew I had to tell Rena. I could not carry this alone. The next morning, I dressed carefully and went to her house. She smiled when she saw me. "Dina, I was just about to call you," she said. "I have good news." She sat down and looked happy. "Joel and I are trying for a baby," she said. "We started IVF. I hope I become a mom soon." My mouth stayed closed. My throat felt tight. I wanted to tell her. I wanted to scream, "He is not who you think he is." But I couldn't. Not after that. She looked so happy, so full of hope. I couldn't take that away. So I stayed quiet. I smiled a little. I said, "That's nice." But inside, I was breaking. At home, I cried in my bed. I didn't eat dinner. I didn't study. I stared at the ceiling and asked, "Why me?" The next few days were worse. Joel sent more messages. "Don't ignore me," he wrote. "You are mine." I blocked his number, but the fear stayed. I started to feel small, weak, and lost. One afternoon, I walked across campus. I saw him again. He stood near a tree, just watching me. I felt cold. I turned and ran back to the main building. I hid in the bathroom. I sat on the floor and cried. I said to myself, "You can't live like this. You must speak." That night, I made my choice. I would tell my sister. No matter what happened, I had to. Even if she hated me. Even if she didn't believe me. I had to try. Before I share the rest of my story, I need to know, where are you listening from? Knowing someone hears me, understands me, gives me strength. The next morning, I woke up early. My stomach hurt from stress. I hadn't slept much. I washed my face and looked in the mirror. My eyes were red. I felt tired, not just in my body, but deep inside. I held my breath for a moment, then let it out slowly. I told myself, today is the day. I walked to Rena's house. My legs felt heavy. My heart beat fast. I didn't know what would happen, but I knew I had to try. When I reached her door, I waited for a second. Then I knocked. She opened the door with a smile. "Dina," she said. "Come in. I made tea." I stepped inside, my hands cold. We sat on the couch. She poured tea into 2 cups and said, "You look tired. Are you okay?" I looked down at the cup. I couldn't hold the words any longer. I looked at her and said, "I need to tell you something. Please listen to me. Don't say anything yet." Her smile faded a little. She looked at me with care. "What is it?" she asked. My hands shook. I put the cup down. I said, "Joel came to our house when you were out. He said he loves me. He tried to touch me. He has been sending me messages. He has followed me at university. I didn't say anything for a long time because I didn't want to hurt you. But now I can't keep it inside anymore." For a moment, the room was silent. Rena blinked. Her face went still. Then she laughed, but it was a strange, short laugh. "What are you saying?" she asked. "Are you serious?" I nodded. "I am not lying," I said. "He really did all that." Her eyes filled with something I didn't expect. Anger. "Stop it," she said. "Why are you doing this? Are you jealous? You want to destroy my marriage?" My heart broke as she spoke. "No," I said. "I love you. I would never hurt you. He is the one who is lying, not me." But she stood up fast. Her face turned red. "You are not my sister," she shouted. "You are a liar." I stood too. My mouth opened, but no words came out. Then she slapped me. My face burned, but my heart hurt more. I touched my cheek, and tears filled my eyes. She walked to the door and opened it wide. "Get out of my house," she said. "Never come back." I didn't move at first. I just stood there, frozen. "Rena, please," I whispered. But she turned her back. She didn't look at me. I walked out slowly and the door closed behind me. That sound of the door closing felt like the end of everything. I went home. I fell on my bed and cried all night. I felt lost. I felt like I had no one. The next day, my phone rang. It was my friend Nina. I picked up the call. Her voice was cold. "Dina, what did you do?" she asked. "Rena is crying. Joel told everyone you tried to steal him. He said you wanted him, not the other way." My voice shook as I said, "That's a lie. He followed me. He sent the messages. I didn't want any of it. I stayed silent because I was scared." But Nina didn't listen. "I don't know what to believe," she said. Then she hung up. Now, I was truly alone. My sister hated me. My friend didn't trust me. Joel walked free, as if nothing happened. I stayed in my room for days. I didn't go to class. I didn't answer my phone. I didn't eat much. I stared at the ceiling at night and cried into my pillow. I asked myself again and again, did I do something wrong? But deep inside, I knew I told the truth. I did nothing wrong. I was the one who was hurt. One night I sat up in bed. The moonlight came through the window. I felt something change inside me. I wiped my tears and said, "No more silence. I have the messages. I have the proof. I need to show the truth." The next morning, I woke up early. I went to the drawer and took out my old phone. I opened the message app. All of Joel's words were there. "You are mine. You are beautiful. Let's meet alone." I saved them all. I printed them at the university library. I also took photos of the flowers he sent. I put everything in a folder. My hand shook the whole time, but I didn't stop. That afternoon, I went to the university office. A kind woman at the front desk asked, "Can I help you?" I said, "Yes. I need to talk to someone about Professor Joel. It's very serious." They took me to a small room. I sat down with 2 staff members. I gave them the folder. I said, "Please read this. He is not who he says he is." They opened the papers and read in silence. After a while, one of them looked up and said, "This is serious. Thank you for coming. We will investigate." I went home and waited. 2 days passed. Then I got a call. They asked me to come back. I walked into the office again, feeling nervous. They smiled softly. "We believe you," one of them said. "You were very brave. Thank you for speaking." I cried when I heard that. I covered my face and let the tears fall. Finally, someone believed me. Finally, the truth had a voice. Later that day, they called Rena too. They showed her the messages and photos. At first, she didn't speak. She just looked down. Then her hands began to shake. Her face turned pale. She said, "He told me she was lying. He told me she wanted him." Her voice broke. "Oh God," she whispered. "I was wrong. I hurt my sister. I pushed her away. I didn't believe her. I slapped her." Her tears fell fast. Her voice became quiet. "I didn't see the truth. I feel so ashamed." That night, I sat on my bed, reading. I heard a knock. I opened the door, and there stood Rena. Her eyes were red. She looked tired. She held my old toy bear in her hand. She used to give it to me when I was sad as a child. She stepped inside and said, "Dina, I found Joel's old phone. I saw the messages. I saw everything." She sat down slowly. She looked at me and began to cry. "Please forgive me," she said. "I didn't trust you. I believed him. I feel terrible. I walked over and sat beside her. She held my hand and said, "You are not just my sister. You are like my daughter. I raised you. I love you. And I hurt you so badly." My tears came again. "I love you too," I said. "You gave me everything. Even when he made me feel small, I never felt that way about you. I could never hurt you." We cried together for a long time. I felt her arms around me. I felt warm again for the first time in weeks. I knew the road ahead would still be hard, but now I wasn't alone. The next morning, the air felt different. It was quiet in the house. Rena didn't go to work. She stayed home with me. We made breakfast together for the first time in weeks. The kitchen felt warm again. She looked at me many times, her eyes full of pain and love. "I still can't believe I didn't see it," she said. "I trusted him too much. I didn't listen to you. I will never forgive myself for that." I touched her hand and said, "You believed someone you loved. That is not a crime. But now you know the truth. That is what matters." She held my hand tightly. "You saved me," she said. "I thought I had a perfect life, but it was all a lie." That same day, Rena went to the university and gave her statement. She told them she supported the complaint against Joel. She showed them what she found on his old phone. The university staff said they would take strong action. Joel was removed from his classes while the case was under review. Rena came back home and told me everything. "He didn't say a word," she said. "He just stood there and looked at the floor. He looked scared. I felt nothing for him. Not love, not hate. Just cold." A week later, Rena made another big decision. She went to court and asked for a divorce. She told the lawyer, "I cannot stay with a man who hurt my sister. He broke my trust. He broke my heart. I want to be free from him." When Joel received the papers, he tried to call her. She didn't answer. He sent a message saying, "Let's talk. Let's fix this." She blocked his number. "There is nothing to fix," she said. "Some people do not deserve a second chance." I watched Rena become stronger each day. She smiled more. She cooked again. She helped me with my homework. She even started going out with her old friends. We sat on the couch many nights and watched silly movies. Sometimes we laughed. Sometimes we cried. But we did it together. I started going back to class. My teachers welcomed me with kindness. A few students looked at me with questions in their eyes, but I held my head high. I did nothing wrong. I knew that now, and I would never feel ashamed again. One evening, as we sat on the balcony, Rena looked at the sky and said, "Do you know what hurts the most? Not that he wanted someone else, not that he lied, but that he looked at you like that he tried to take something so pure and turn it into something dark. I can never forgive him for that." I looked at her and said, "He didn't win. You saw the truth. You believed me. That means more than anything." She smiled. "You always had a strong heart," she said. "Even when I didn't." The next few weeks were peaceful. Slowly, the pain started to fade. Rena and I became closer than ever. We talked more. We cooked new recipes. We went on long walks. I stopped having bad dreams. My mind felt light again. I could study without fear. I could walk around campus without looking over my shoulder. One day, my friend Nina came to me and said, "I saw what happened. I'm sorry I didn't believe you before. I was wrong." I nodded and said, "Thank you. That means a lot." But I also knew that trust doesn't come back in one day. And that was okay. I didn't want revenge. I wanted peace. I wanted safety. And I had that now. Rena was free. I was safe. Joel was no longer part of our lives. And that was enough for me. One morning, we got a letter from the university. It said Joel had been removed from his position. The investigation was complete. They had all the proof. Rena read the letter out loud. When she finished, she closed her eyes and whispered, "It's over." I saw a tear roll down her cheek, but her face looked calm. That night, we had dinner together. Rena made my favorite meal. We ate slowly and talked about happy things. After dinner, we sat on the floor and looked at old photo albums. We saw pictures of our parents, pictures from when I was small. Rena laughed at one photo where I had a big hat and chocolate on my face. "You were always a little messy," she said, "but you always had a kind heart." I smiled and said, "You were the best sister." "Still are." She hugged me and said, "No matter what, we will always have each other." That was the truth. Life will always bring pain sometimes. People we trust may break that trust, but the heart can heal. Truth can win. And love, real love, can still grow again. I learned that silence is not safety. Speaking up is hard, but it is the first step to freedom. I was scared, but I told the truth. And now I am free. Now Rena and I live in peace. We study. We work. We laugh. We remember the hard days, but we do not live in them. We keep going. We help each other. And we are stronger than ever. Sometimes the people we love the most can hurt us the most. The pain is deep. It feels like the heart is broken. But you must remember, truth always comes out. You are not weak. You are not alone. Don't stay silent. Speak up. Even if no one believes you at first, keep telling your story. One day, the truth will be clear. And when that day comes, you will feel free.